Franchising is the most misunderstood and most overlooked form of entrepreneurship. We're here to educate you and help you find the entrepreneur within. Franchising is not all about the French fries.
We find that individuals who are exploring business ownership tend to have a lot of misperceptions and misunderstandings about the franchise industry. So what we want to do is help prospective business owners make confident and educated decisions before moving forward or not moving forward with a business. Welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Hi, welcome to episode 32 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. I'm Roxanne Rapsky, and this is my colleague, Sarah Wasco. We created this podcast to bring you education and information on entrepreneurship and all things franchising. Joining us today is William McGee. He is the owner of several Brothers That Just Do Gutters franchise locations here in DFW, and he'll tell us all about that. William, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I'm excited to talk to you. We worked together last year, and there's lots of fun parts to your story that I'll be sharing. But before we get into all that, I'd like to hear from you. Share with our audience, please, a little bit about your background and kind of what led up to you wanting to be a business owner and then pursuing franchising.
For sure. So, grew up here in Dallas, went to school at Vanderbilt University, ultimately kind of studied finance and geology, really was interested in the oil and gas space. So paired the two and was an investment banker, kind of focusing on oil and gas space for a while at Raymond James. After that, was at Deloitte Corporate Finance doing kind of M&A work with Deloitte. At Deloitte, we were a generalist firm, or our group was generalist, so saw stuff all under the sun, everything from industrials to tech to healthcare, business services. So in that kind of sparked an interest in different industries outside of oil and gas and really kind of got me into I'm very interested in also the investing side. After that, went to work for a private equity fund for about 3 years, focused in the food and ag space. At the private equity fund, was always very jealous and envious of the management teams that we worked with. It was a very great opportunity whereby I could work hand in hand with the management teams to kind of, work through different issues, decide on if they should, build another feed mill or sell a feed mill or whatnot. And so that was a great opportunity. But ultimately, again, kind of realized that business ownership is something I definitely wanted to do, which brought me to the next question: how do you go about buying or starting a business? Thought about, going the route of the search fund whereby you raise a pool of capital and buy a business, but didn't want to take the risk of spending 2 years of my life and not finding a business. And so that led me to the world of franchising, which my family's involved with a little bit on the side. Got a great exposure to franchising through them. Ultimately, through a series of introductions, got in touch with Roxanne and her team, and they were fantastic. And we talked about to probably 30 different franchise concepts and ended up with the Brothers That Just Do Gutters. So it was a long path, but very, very fortunate and thankful for it and happy to be where I am today.
Yeah, you've got a great story. So before we kind of get into what you bought and why you chose it and how you're doing now, Sarah and I talk a lot about how our demographic is changing.
Mm-hmm.
When I first got into this business 15 years ago, my demographic was not your age. So you hold the record right now for my youngest client ever. And I just think it's great that we're getting more examples that we can share with our listeners that you don't have to wait so long. When you ask people a lot of times what you would do differently, one of the answers that we get a lot is, I would have done this a lot sooner.
For sure.
So I'm glad you started when you first got the inkling and didn't wait 20 years or so. So you decided on Brothers That Just Do Gutters, and you originally purchased 3 locations, correct?
Yep. 3 locations kind of in East DFW, servicing Rowlett, Rockwall, Royce City, Heath. We also go all the way up to McKinney, Melissa, Prosper, and Salina. Those are the three territories. It's a big geographical area and a lot of good development, and a lot of good communities.
Well, one of the things I think that we learned together, we were just talking about this earlier. I always tell my clients, you'll learn about yourself in this process and I'll learn from you. And we were originally looking at franchises that were a little bit more developed, not so emerging. But you wanted a lot of territory.
For sure.
And you weren't finding that with the more developed franchises. You
Yeah.
were finding that there wasn't enough territory.
Either that or it would be kind of a tertiary market, one that I wouldn't be very excited about. And so, yeah, to your point, we kind of went from looking to very established franchises, then found the brothers that just do gutters. I thought that was unique about them. While they were emerging, they very much had a backbone and a franchise support system that looked like they'd been around for a decade. And so that was a huge plus to them. Their team in Poughkeepsie, New York has been fantastic and definitely was a big time plus when doing the diligence and looking at them.
So that's a really good point that you bring up, is that there are opportunities out there that may have been around for a while or may have that infrastructure and that support system, but either set it up and then were just slow to grow,
For
maybe
sure.
intentionally, didn't want to accelerate their growth too quickly before they knew that they could support it. So it sounds like that's an opportunity that you found. There's some that have been in business for a long time and have a lot of longevity and history and then decide to franchise.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Brothers Gutters did. They I don't want to give you exact dates because they'll mess it up, but they'd been franchising for probably like 5 or 6 years, but had a very minimal amount of franchisees and really perfected the system. Then about 2.5 years ago or so, they hired Franchise Fastlane to do their development, and then that's when it really kind of hockey sticked and they started to sell out a lot of territory. But to your point, they kind of worked through all the kinks, got it all lined out, hired a great support team out in corporate, and then kind of hit play once they hired Franchise Fastlane.
Yeah, because you don't want to do something like partner with a franchise development team and not be prepared, because that's what their role is to get out there and find franchisees for
Correct.
you or for the franchisor and kind of walk prospects to the system. So it sounds like they had a good strategy and implemented things in the right order.
Very much so.
Well,
Very
and
much so.
it's hiring someone like them is like pouring gasoline on a fire. So
Yeah.
you need to be ready.
For sure.
Because, and there are other companies that grow too fast and then have to stop franchise development to just kind of get through some growing pains and grow corporate big enough to support those franchisees, get that all in order, and then they start franchise development
Definitely,
again.
yeah.
So they all do it different ways.
Definitely.
So you were in business for about 3 months.
3 months, and then we were having a great time, starting to breathe a little bit, and then my cousin, Sonny, was a senior at SMU, majoring in marketing and advertising, and I said, hey, why don't you come intern for us on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Because he had, a joke of a second semester senior year, was taking like 2 classes, so he had a bunch of time off. So he said, yeah, I'll come work Tuesdays and Thursdays with you. And he kind of did some Facebook stuff, some Instagram stuff with us, and then he went on some jobs and kind of said, this is awesome. And he was doing a great job, had a keen interest in gutters and leadership. And so we kind of talked and said, why don't we open a second location? I know all of Fort Worth's open, so let's buy all of Fort Worth. And then, Sonny, you're going to be the man with the boots on the ground out there once you graduate. And so he did Tuesdays and Thursdays with us all through probably June, or I guess May, graduated in May, and then came on full-time with us the Monday after he graduated. And he's doing a phenomenal job. And so he went to training in Poughkeepsie, I guess, late July, early August, and started the location out there about like August 10th, I think. Had a great team, flew the team up to Poughkeepsie, New York, which is the headquarters for training, and then had probably 15 estimates lined up that first week. And then the sales guy who we hired didn't show up on the first day, so we were just totally back to square one. But Sonny had this big-time backbone, all this great experience with us in Rowlett, and he's since hired a phenomenal team out in Fort Worth, and they're on track to do they already have, I think, 25,000 on the books for September, and hopefully hit that $40,000 mark for September, which is a very good, very, very good first month. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's really
well, there's a lot of work that needs to be done before we get there, but it's pointed in the right direction. So it's been a lot of fun. It's obviously Rowlett and Fort Worth there's a huge geographical distance between the two. But we have a little bit of a synergy whereby our office manager, Lori, who's fantastic, she kind of wears both hats and does back office, admin, office management for both locations. We will, like on Monday, we had to bring over one of their installers because one of our installers was sick. So stuff like that, we kind of very much work together with them, but operate them very much as two units, given the fact that they're so far away from each other.
How many locations total do you own in DFW?
How many territories or locations?
Territories.
Territories, I think 8 or 9. We own 3, I think 3 and 5. So 3 in Rowlett, East Dallas, and 5 in Fort Worth, so-called 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're not all open yet, obviously. I mean, or you haven't penetrated all that territory yet.
The physical location will service all the territory.
Okay.
Eventually we might put another shop, another kind of location, physical location in Fort Worth, just to cut down on drive times, but definitely can't justify that right now. But the Fort Worth location, like right now, it's servicing Arlington, Weatherford, going way up to Denton, south to Burleson. We're doing the whole Fort Worth Metroplex. So
Awesome.
a lot of windshield time, though.
Yeah. How are you finding your clients? How are you acquiring your business?
Yeah, great question. A lot of it's on Google. That mainly goes through the franchisor. They have a great marketing team that essentially just tells us you need to spend X amount per month on Google AdWords, and they've got, I think, 2 or 3 guys out there that really are masters of that craft. It's something that I understand, but I'm definitely not an expert at.
Yeah.
It's an auction, so that we buy the word gutter, and they just kind of handle all that. So we're getting a lot of it on Google. We've had kind of mixed results with Angie's List / Home Advisor. So we're doing a little bit there. But then what I'm most excited about really pushing kind of as we go into this fall, this winter, and into the next year is just building our referral network. We will hopefully we've done one big kind of collaboration or doing it with Mosquito Authority. There's a great franchisee here in Dallas who owns a bunch of territories, is a great operator, and he, obviously, if your gutter's pitched incorrectly, water will pool there, and that's a breeding ground for mosquitoes. And so we made a deal with them and are educating their installers to say, hey, if you see gutters that have pooling water in them, obviously treat it like you normally do, but pass along the brothers that just do gutters, and we will pay the installer that passed on the lead to us 10% up to $200 for that referral. So
Very
stuff like
good.
that with Mosquito Authority, and then there's some foundation companies we're looking to work with. So building out kind of that referral network will hopefully be a great way to further build out our.
So I never even
customer
put that
acquisition.
together because as I sit here and scratch my arm, I am a mosquito. Like the mosquitoes are horrendous for me. It's awful. I get like bad reactions, and I didn't even think about gutters. Like that's
sure.
a place where water can pool if it's not. You see the stuff on the ground, right? You don't think of the stuff in the air.
Definitely.
Gutters are, for me, like, I don't even think about them. I don't look at them. And they do their thing, but they don't draw my attention for
sure.
anything, which I think is probably the case for most people until they have an issue.
Yeah.
They're backed up or not working or whatever. What about painters? I would think painters would be a good referral.
Painters for sure. There was a guy I actually just met with today, Matt with Optical Windows. He's a great guy. He just installed a window at a house in McKinney, and they needed to move a gutter to get the window in there. So stuff like that, painters, window people, really anybody that touches the home, we will be a great referral partner to us because the home, it really all is connected. The gutters, obviously the roofs, the foundation, subterranean drainage, it's all kind of one big system that is all put together.
So if there's a drainage issues where the gutters come down, who deals with that part?
So the gutter, a lot of times will go into a French drain. There is a company called Zoom Drain that actually will jet out the subterranean drain. So there's a franchisee in Dallas who just started about a month ago. We're starting to pass a little bit of work back and forth with him. So he'll do a lot of that work. And then ultimately, we would like to build out our drainage installation team. So if there's, a downspout that goes down and goes out, but it's just kind of pooling there's no subterranean drain.
Right.
We've started to do some French drain work, but really are not pushing it yet. But that's definitely something we'll grow into.
Kind of like an add-on.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm curious, you said you looked at a lot of different businesses. Tell us what it was about this business that was it
Yeah.
for you?
So I would say probably three things. One, the team in Poughkeepsie is fantastic. From the bottom to the top, Ken and Ryan, the two founders, are awesome. I could take out my cell phone and call or text them right now, and they would pick up and say, how can we help? Their marketing team's great. Their kind of franchise support guy, Brandon, is awesome. So they were great. That's a big part of the reason why I went forward with them. Also, gutters are a very interesting part of the house, one whereby you will never have not never, but it's very unlikely you have a gutter emergency. So you don't have staff in the middle of the night, on weekends, on Christmas Day, but it's something that the house needs to function correctly and efficiently. So it's something you can kind of schedule out 2 weeks. It's a secondary need, but it also is a need. We're not selling something that's a luxury or
Right.
something that people don't necessarily need. I also like the fact that it's a trade whereby you can really build a career out of it. You don't have to be licensed to do it. I could teach somebody how to hang a gutter, but that person, it is an art form, and it is a very cool thing to see once you've done it. And so you can really kind of get behind it and build a career behind it. So those kind of three pillars were the reasons I went forwards with it. And it's been a lot of fun.
I believe you are also impressed by the financials.
Yeah, definitely profitable business. When you look at the unit economics of the franchisees that were illustrated in the FTD that I'd read, very, very impressive relative to other like brands and other like trades. So highly profitable, highly scalable. Definitely, the kind of limiting factor to growing is probably just getting people in. At some point, our referral network will start to snowball, but then our just training team, aka myself and Sawney and Josh and Cameron, who's another guy we just hired, for us to be able to train everybody and get crews up and equipped to handle these leads are kind of the limiting factor. So, it's just a numbers game. You got to work on it and do it, but it is very much a scalable business.
So your business, you're not out actually, you don't have to go to networking meetings. You're not out really looking for business
We
in
do that.
sense? Or
we
you do?
definitely do that.
Okay.
We're members of the Chamber of Commerce in Rowlett. We're about to join the Rockwall Chamber of Commerce. And that's definitely a way we get our name out there. I will say it has not been as successful as I would have hoped, but I definitely think there's a ton of value there. The Rowlett Chamber has been great, and I very much look forward to getting involved with the Rockwall Chamber as well.
It takes time.
It's
For
a
sure. And it's also one of those
building,
deals where if you join it, you can't just expect it
Right.
to come benefit you. You got to put in the time. You got to go to take people to coffee and really network. So, and I've done probably a pretty bad job of that. So
I'm sure you have a lot going on. I'm sure you're busy.
it's busy for sure, but busy is good.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's where you hire somebody in business development, which I'm sure probably isn't the easiest thing to do, but to maybe go out and represent for you.
Yeah.
So you can focus on some other things.
And so Lori, our office manager, has started to do that a little bit.
Good.
She started to go to there's kind of Thursday morning meetings that she'll go to, and she's been fantastic, starting to kind of wear more than one hat, which has been awesome. So definitely agree with you there.
So you've hired a lot of people. Tell us what you've learned through all this hiring and maybe some of the challenges that you faced.
Yeah, so probably the biggest learning experience that I've had is the way I learn is I learn by doing. That is definitely not the case for everybody. The first team we brought in, I kind of said, this is how you hang a gutter. We have a little kind of training center in our shop. You pitch it, you seal it, you hang it, pretty straightforward. Like, here's the drill, go get them. But that is not how everybody learns. And so the first team was good, definitely had their issues. Long story short, a couple of them left. One guy was afraid of heights, so wouldn't fit.
That wouldn't be,
that
wouldn't be a good fit for
moved.
me.
And so we kind of found a new team and really did a very kind of hands-on training process with them and took a week, 2 weeks off and just went very slowly, and they've been fantastic. Giovanni and Jose, shout out to you guys. Y'all are killing it. They've been awesome though, and I think if you would ask them, they would probably agree and probably cite that the fact that we work very, very slowly and very kind of regimented with them on their training was definitely a good thing and probably the biggest learning experience so far. And then also just to find like Giovanni and Jose, for example, you really have to interview 10 or 15 people and you got to get them in. So you try and bring in 15 people for an interview. Maybe 7 will show up to the interview. 2 of them will be 30 minutes late. So you're down to 5. And then, one of them will smell like smoke. And then 4 others, you'll hire 2 of them. And then 1 will show up on the first day.
Wow.
And so it's a very much a numbers game, but there's some great people out there, and you just got to interview a lot and find them.
So how do you find those candidates? Does the franchisor assist you with some of that, or
they've directed us to a service called Career Plug, which is a job site aggregator. That's been good, but what's been really great for us is doing the reverse searching on Indeed. Essentially, instead of saying, here's a job for a gutter installer, we look at resumes that have been posted in the past month that have roofer or gutter or any kind of keyword on it. Then we'll look at those resumes. And so it's more of a targeted, you pay for it, but it's more of a targeted search for people.
So then you reach out to them
Correct.
Versus them applying
essentially, yeah,
directly with you. Okay, good.
Yeah, so that's been great. We hired our first referral guy probably about 2 weeks ago. Misael is Giovanni's brother-in-law. And so Giovanni said, hey, actually it was kind of funny. Misael was Giovanni's reference. And I talked to Misael and I was like, hey, you sound like a pretty good guy. That was probably 3 months ago. And then I talked to Giovanni and Giovanni was like, yeah, Misael, he might want to come work for us. So that's been a very good hire. And also something we really want to push on further too is just kind of the referral hires, friends, family, anybody that these guys have in their networks that can hopefully come help us out.
Well, and that's the key to having happy, well-trained employees as they want to invite people to come and work with them. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
So you kind of dropped a little bomb on me yesterday, switching channels. How many months are you into this now?
We started it. Our first installation was February 1st.
Okay.
So we're going on 8-9 months.
Okay.
So you've done a lot with gutters in 8 to 9 months with how you've expanded and hired and
we've
all of that.
Expanded geographically, hired a lot. Still we haven't taken off yet, but very much taking off.
But wait, in the middle of all that, in the midst of all that, guess what he's gone out and done?
He bought another franchise.
What are you doing, William McGee?
just trying to create jobs and create opportunities and
diversification.
Have a lot of fun while doing it. So yes, as Roxanne referenced, the ultimate kind of thesis here is to start or buy a new business every 12 to 18 months. We were put in contact with a company called Patchmaster doing drywall repair work about probably 6 or 7 months ago, and kind of went through the whole process with them. They are a very interesting little business whereby they do drywall repair. Most of their leads come from plumbers and HVAC technicians or insulation technicians that have to knock a hole through the wall to do their work. And so then Patchmaster is the first call after those guys are done with their job. So that's super exciting. We're going to start that probably first of next year, of this, I guess, the 23, and very much looking forward to that. So they'll be housed in our same shop out in Rowlett. Lori will probably do a little work for Patchmaster as well, but very much will hire a new team to run Patchmaster and to do that trade, and we're very excited about it. It's going to be fun.
You're crazy.
Well, I love hearing, that plan to invest in another business every 12 to 18 months. I mean, that's a great strategy. So do you have a goal for ultimately how many you want to have before it's all said and done?
Not at all. I mean, both these businesses are highly scalable. So who knows where it goes from here, but there's a situation whereby we open a Patchmaster in Oklahoma City or a different market, or buy an existing one, or same with the Brothers Gutters, but definitely kind of want to, obviously build a decent-sized holding company. Number one goal is, I think, a great way to give back is to create jobs. And,
absolutely.
I have this outlandish goal to create 100 jobs in 10 years, and if we can get 10 jobs, I'm very happy, but that's kind of one of the long-term goals, but ultimately want to build something that is impactful to the community and has great careers for people, and hopefully makes a little money for William and my family too.
I love that. And you've chosen businesses that they're both a need, they're not a want.
For sure.
And they're businesses that have survived a recession. They're businesses that have survived a pandemic. You know, the home services has continued to grow. So I think you're choosing wisely and you're diversifying. You've learned a lot in the last year, right, as you've gone through this process. So if someone were to come to you that was looking for mentoring and ask you, William, what should I do? Or is there like one piece of advice you could give to somebody that's looking for a business or wants to start?
Just do it. Jump in. Don't spend too much time analyzing different concepts. Just, poke a bunch of holes in it, then jump in and do it. But definitely do it, because I know a lot of people, and when I talk to my friends and, people outside of my professional network, kind of on my friend's side, they say, oh, you're actually doing a franchise. Like, I almost did that, or I looked at that, but, I'm still at my, corporate job. Just do it. It's definitely nerve-wracking. It's still nerve-wracking almost a year in.
Yeah.
But do it, and worst case scenario, learn a ton.
I love that advice, because I do believe, I'm confident that fear holds a lot of people back, and walking away from that, paycheck is a difficult decision.
Very much so.
It's also super encouraging to hear your enthusiasm and excitement at, almost a year in, and that you're happy that you made that decision. So I'm sure that you'll be an encouragement for others that may also be a little fearful, but really wanting to make a change. So we really appreciate you joining us. If somebody needs new gutters or wants to get a hold of you, how can they reach you?
Just Google Brothers Gutters. Doesn't matter what zip code you're in, you'll find us. Would love to do your gutters. Call, text me anytime, email me anytime. My email is william.mcgee@brothersgutters.com. That's MCGEE. Would love to talk to anybody about franchising, business ownership, and the like.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming on today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
It was really a pleasure hearing your story and your advice. I'm confident, as I mentioned, that will be an encouragement to others as well. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us today on Unpredicted Entrepreneur. I am Sarah Waskow, last name Waskow. My colleague Roxanne Rapsky is joining us. Also, her last name is Rapske. So please look us up on LinkedIn. We are very active there. You can also find us on frannet.com and on our YouTube channel, which is Frannet of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma. And please download our podcast, Unpredicted Entrepreneur, wherever you listen to your podcast. And we thank you for joining us and hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya. Thank you.